My name is Jake Vrolix, and my topic for this vlog is hydration and the role of sweat. Hydration can be considered like the coolant on in the engine of a car. So it essentially transfers heat away from the muscles that are active during exercise and the body's core, thus preventing overheating. Fluids lost through sweat must be replenished in order to avoid overheating in the body. And we'll discuss ways that can be done. So what happens when the body overheats? So there are many different things that could happen, but some of the most important things are a decrease in heat tolerance, a decrease in cognitive function, a decrease in endurance, and a decrease in performance. All things that are quite important when it comes to sports, performing, etc., especially in an outdoor setting, especially in the state we live in Arizona. Obviously, you're going to want to build up your heat tolerance since heat is such a big issue a majority of the year, I should say. And along with all this comes an increase in heat illness risk. So stuff like heat stroke, exhaustion, stuff like that. Big no-no, especially in this hot state of Arizona. So one of the easiest ways to determine hydration levels, and probably one of the quickest as well, is looking at urine color. Ideally, the urine of the athlete prior to competition, practice, or a game should be similar to like the color of lemonade, so pretty light yellow. Nothing more yellow than that. Like nothing like apple juice brown color. That's a big no-no. And a 2% decrease in body weight is when we start to see performance suffering. So pretty slight. And this is all just water weight. So that's why when we discuss later, measuring sweat loss, fluid loss, we look at body weight as a big measuring point. And we see it right here. Measuring body weight before and after practice sessions and games can be used to determine fluid loss, and this can help us develop a proper hydration plan. What influences hydration? So there are many different things. I touched on a few of them before, but temperature, humidity, different equipment you're using. So let's say, like looking at football, in practice you're not usually in full pads, not usually in full uniform as well. So different things like that. And then when you're looking at, like, let's say comparing sports, football compared to like soccer is just uniform, cleats, shin guards. And football, you got helmet, pads, undershirts, overshirts, sleeves, gloves, and stuff like that. So that just influences hydration. Your training experience and status. So athletes, obviously, who've been training longer and have more experience, are going to be, their body is going to be adapted to hold that hydration a little bit better, especially athletes who train in hotter weather states. Intensity, self-explanatory. You're working harder, you're going to get hotter. And acclimation and weather, so wind, rain, stuff like that. Wind and rain are gonna go hand in hand with temperature as well as humidity. So what is sweat? And it's not just water. There's multiple parts. So it's usually water and sodium. And looking at sodium, it is an electrolyte. It's actually one of the most important electrolytes in sweat. as it's responsible for keeping the water where it's needed in the body, which is very, very, very important. Which is why when we subscribe a hydration plan, electrolytes should be included in those fluids. So sports drinks, for example, are pretty high in electrolytes. And when we look at sports drinks as well, we're looking at carbohydrates being supplemented in as well. And we see in the lecture material that a 6% solution of carbs in the fluids can prevent energy as well as maintaining that fluid absorption, so it's not compromising anything there. When conducting a sweat test, there's two parts, the fluid balance and the sweat and sodium part. So when looking at fluid balance, it's just measuring changes in body weight before and after activity. You're looking at monitoring fluid intake, so measuring their fluids before and after activity, and then monitoring urine output. So you want to look at their urine before, during, and after competition, looking at color as well as just the amount that is excreted. And then the sweat part, we're primarily looking at that sodium level, and that's apparent using sweat patches. Sweat patches, you just apply them on the athlete after they've been weighed, and then as you're watching that athlete perform and practice, you're just looking to see if that patch is saturated. If it is, during a break in the game or practice, pull them out, take those patches off, and you can do an analysis on those. So with the GSSI sweat test protocol, this is how it proceeds. It's all stuff I've touched on, but this is a little bit more formal and drawn out. Empty the bladder before weighing and collect the urine sample. Weigh athlete before the practice or the game. Apply sweat patches. Weigh drinking bottles before and after practice and game consumption. Weigh any urine produced during the game. Monitor and remove sweat patches when necessary, when those are saturated, like I said before. Weigh the athlete after practice and game. Analyze sweat patches. Input data on the calculator on the GSSI website. Finishing thoughts. Sweat loss and hydration is completely overlooked. It should be more focused on. It's actually probably one of the most important aspects since we do live in Arizona. It should be just any part of the weapon of sports performance or sports nutrition, and athletes and sports coaches should probably be informed on this as well. So just so they have that